Hey, it's Aisha Harris from Pop Culture Happy Hour. If you love NPR podcasts, you'll want the new NPR Plus podcast bundle. Enjoy an all-you-can-eat selection of NPR Plus podcasts with sponsor-free listening and bonus episodes. Plus, you'll be supporting public radio. Check it out at plus.npr.org.
Today, on State of the World, reactions in two key nations to the re-election of Donald Trump. You're listening to State of the World from NPR, the day's most vital international stories, up close where they're happening. I'm Christine Arrowsmith. Immigration, trade, security. The stakes are high in China and Mexico in a second Trump administration. In a moment, we go to Mexico, America's most important trading partner, for response to Trump's re-election to the U.S. presidency. First, to China, whose government congratulated Trump and said it respects the choice of the American people. That choice will have strong reverberations in a country that Trump says has ripped off America, even though it's led by a strong man whom he openly admires. NPR's John Ruich has the story.
During his first term, Trump steered U.S. policy toward China in a decidedly confrontational direction. He blamed China for the erosion of American industry and launched a trade war with tariffs on hundreds of billions of dollars worth of Chinese imports. This time, he's promised to raise the stakes with tariffs of 60% or more on everything coming from China. But at a factory in southern China's Guangdong province that makes light fixtures, mostly for export to the U.S., owner James Chung is not worried. He's got a workshop in Bangkok, Thailand, which he opened in 2019 after Trump's first round of tariffs. He says steep new tariffs would just push him to increase his investment in Thailand and shift more production there. It doesn't matter to him if he makes his light fixtures in China or Southeast Asia. At the end of the day, he says, it's American consumers who'll pick up the tab. That tracks with what many economists say about Trump's tariff proposal, and that's why Chung thinks Trump may not follow through. For the Chinese government, though, the possibility of fresh trade friction is a big concern at a time when the economy is struggling to find its feet. The foreign ministry has declined to comment on possible new tariffs. But Jude Blanchett, a China expert at the Center for Strategic and International Studies in Washington, says Beijing has been quietly making its position clear through various channels.
You know it's official signaling when you are hearing literally the same set of talking points from every group you meet with.
China may not react proportionally and in kind to new U.S. tariffs, which is what it did during the first Trump administration. This time, scholars and others are signaling that Beijing may be more aggressive by doing things like devaluing the currency to offset tariffs or retaliating against U.S. businesses and allies.
And of course, Beijing has mapped out all the congressional districts. They know exactly what industries are where. So if they need to target specific members of Congress, they will do that.
Other risks lurk beyond trade in the U.S.-China relationship, a big one being Taiwan, the self-governed island that Beijing claims as its own. China wants to annex Taiwan and has ramped up its threats. Trump has given mixed signals about defending it. Some here in China hope that Trump 2.0 will be Donald Trump the pragmatist, the deal maker.
We had already two U.S. administrations bashing China, containing China. China's still there, is still very resilient.
Wang Huiyao is president of the government-sanctioned Center for China and Globalization, a think tank in Beijing.
So we have to sit down and find a way to work with each other.
That may be wishful thinking. Trump is unpredictable. During the first administration, China policy started out transactional and focused on trade, but Trump's more hawkish advisors bent his ear, and they may well do so this time, too. John Ruich, NPR News, Shanghai.
I'm Adrian Peralta in Mexico City. For days now, Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum has been downplaying any concerns about a second Trump presidency, saying the U.S. and Mexico have a special relationship no matter who's in charge. But yesterday morning, she addressed those concerns without talking about it.
A todas y todos los mexicanos no hay ningún motivo de preocupación.
To all Mexicans, I say there is no reason to worry.
A nuestros paisanos y paisanas,
to our brothers and sisters who live in the United States, to the business people, there is no reason to worry.
México siempre sale adelante, somos un país
Mexico will always prevail. But on the streets of Mexico City, what we find is dread.
Creo que definitivamente es una mala noticia para México y para...
This is bad news for Mexico, said David Salazar, who's 68 and retired.
Porque el señor no tiene templanza, no tiene...
Because the man has no temperament, he says. He has no maturity, no judgment.
Nos va a meter en muchos problemas.
He's going to get us into lots of trouble, he says. Trump spent his first term in office denigrating Mexico and Mexicans, and during this campaign, he's threatened steep tariffs and to close the border. At one point, he said he wouldn't hesitate to use military force to stop fentanyl from flowing north. But Rafael Fernández de Castro, who runs the Center for U.S.-Mexican Studies at the University of California, San Diego, says he's not too worried.
It might get worse, but we know how to do it.
Former President Andrés Manuel López Obrador, he says, was able to manage Trump. He appeased Trump by instituting tougher migration policies. But mostly, says Fernández, the relationship remained strong because of money. The U.S. and Mexico trade billions each year. Even if Trump wanted to bomb Mexico, says Fernández, lots of powerful businesses would warn against it. It's exactly what happened when Trump threatened to undo a free trade agreement during his last term in office.
When he wanted to get rid of NAFTA, they came to him and said, hey, take it easy, because Mexico is fairly important for us.
Mexico is the number one destination of U.S. exports. So in the end, most of Trump's bluster evaporated, and he ended up signing a new trade deal that was nearly identical to the one he railed against. Back on the streets of Mexico City, we meet Pablo Barrios Bautista, a gardener.
Trump no es una persona muy confiable para...
For Latinos, he says, Trump is not trustworthy. And this time around, he thinks it'll be harder for Mexico. President Sheinbaum is the country's first female president, and she will have to face off with a man Barrios calls a misogynist. What he hopes is that the Mexican president confronts Trump.
Yo quiero una presidenta que le eche ganas y...
I want her to be bold, he says. I want her to be smart and principled. Everything, he says, that Trump is not. Ada Peralta, NPR News, Mexico City.
That's the state of the world from NPR. There's a lot of news to keep up with just now, and there are 3 NPR podcasts to help you do just that. Up first, our morning roundup of news. Consider this to go deep on one news topic every evening, and NPR's Politics Podcast for all the political angles. And of course, State of the World for international coverage. Thanks for listening.
Okay, so does this sound like you? You love NPR's podcasts, you wish you could get more of all your favorite shows, and you want to support NPR's mission to create a more informed public. If all that sounds appealing, then it is time to sign up for the NPR Plus bundle. Learn more at plus.npr.org.
If you need a moment to catch your breath and calm your nerves, listen to the latest All Songs Considered from NPR Music. We've got an all-new mix of songs to slow the blood and recalibrate your day, plus reflections on gratitude, joy, and the power of kindness. Listen to new episodes of All Songs Considered every Tuesday, wherever you get podcasts.
Donald Trump has won the 2024 election. How did it happen, and what are his plans for a second term? Find out by listening to the NPR Politics Podcast. We'll keep you informed every weekday with the latest news from the presidential transition. Listen to the NPR Politics Podcast.